work with. I have a goal that you would be able to, as I talk today, I know that you're going to hear some things that you're going to think, wow, third grade needs to hear that. Or, the coaching staff that I work with needs to hear that. Or, that's great for the special ed team. My second goal is to be able to open up some doors for some conversations for you guys and whatever group it is that you work with. So the way I do my object lesson series is I've gathered some things from my favorite store, the Dollar Tree. I love to go to the Dollar Tree. It's a great place to visit. Dollar Trees are exploding all over the United States right now. It's the #1 retail business that's booming in the United States. I was surprised when I heard that. I assumed it would be Target or Walmart or one of those. But when you're living in a repressed economy like we are right now, where many people, including many of us, are living paycheck to paycheck, you can't afford to go to Walmart and buy $4 worth of toilet paper. But you can afford to go to the Dollar Tree and buy $1 worth. And the next week when you get paid, you go back and you buy another $1 worth of toilet paper. And so Dollar Trees are just exploding. I love going to them. The people are so eclectic. They are very nice, very friendly. I always find something great for a video whenever I go to the Dollar Tree. So what I've done is I've gathered things from the Dollar Tree to be able to share. 80% of them for Dollar Tree. There's a couple that are not. But I just want to share these for you. If you're taking notes, it's going to be super simple because all you're going to do is write down an object and write down the related concept to that object. And if you're not, it's going to be great too, because hopefully when you see these objects at another point, you'll be able to remember those. The first thing is these. These are just some reading glasses. I love dollar store reading glasses because I need reading glasses and I constantly lose them, constantly sit on them, constantly have them taken by kids who want to dress like me. And it used to bother me whenever I would get prescription reading glasses and then I would sit on them or I would break them or I would leave them somewhere because they were pretty expensive. But then I realized the dollar store reading glasses are just as good as prescription reading glasses. So now every time I go to the Dollar Tree, I go and look. I usually buy 2 or 3 pair. I have them in my desk, in my car, in my glove compartment, by my chair upstairs. I've got them everywhere. And the first place that I go whenever I go to the Dollar Tree is the sunglasses and the reading rack, because I collect these all year round and I give them to my staff the first day we gather in August. Because of the lesson that I want to remind you of in reading using these glasses. I give these to my staff and I say, I want you to put them on the desk and I want you to know, and I want you guys to know that you'll never be all you are called to be in education. You'll never be the best bus driver you can be, the best secretary you can be, the best principal you can be until you're able to look through the lens of other people. We have to be able to look through other people's lenses in our job situation in order to be the best that we can be. And you'll never be the best PE teacher, the best school secretary, the best school nurse, the best teacher until you are able to look through the lens of other people. Because when you look through the lens of other people, then you understand the perspective from the decisions that you're making and what's going on. Let me give you my real world example. So about 1 year and 3 months ago, in March of last year, when they announced COVID and we realized what was going on, and everything shut down and we were in lockdown and businesses were closed and we weren't supposed to be going out. I looked through the entire situation through my lenses as a parent. I saw COVID at that time, 1 year and 3 months ago, as a parent, and I was looking through my parent lenses because my oldest child is a physician's assistant and his wife is a physician's assistant. So I was looking at the whole situation as a parent. And I was all for shutting down businesses, no restaurants, don't go to Walmart with your family, no 80th birthday party for grandpa with 12 family members. Because I knew that if you chose to continue to go shopping with large numbers of families, if you continued to go to restaurants and open your business, if you continued to have grandma and grandpa's 50th anniversary party with 15 family members, your actions could affect my child. Because you could be spreading COVID in those situations, and it could come back to me as to me because my child is a healthcare worker. And so I was looking at the entire situation through my parent lenses. Well, about a month into this, then I started noticing the comments from my friends on Facebook that were from my school and my church and my friends from high school that were dental hygienists and hairdressers and nail technicians. And you know what? They hadn't had a paycheck in 4 weeks because we had closed their businesses down in order to keep everybody safe. And when I started looking through the lens of a parent who was a hairdresser, who hadn't cut anybody's hair in 4 weeks, who hadn't gotten any tips and hadn't gotten a paycheck, well, then I looked at things differently. When you look through someone else's lenses, you gain three things: sympathy, empathy, and understanding. And when I was able to put on the lens of a nail technician and a dental hygienist and a dry cleaner and someone that works at Macy's, and realized that these people had not had paychecks in 4 weeks, you know what I gained? Sympathy, empathy, and understanding for what it was they were going through. Because I was all about close this down, all about close this down, all about no restaurants. But when I started looking through other people's lenses and seeing their perspective, my entire perspective changed. Let me tell you how it looks for you. You're a teacher and you're doing your classroom, and you know that you're supposed to be on the bus at 3 o'clock. Your kids are supposed to be on the bus at 3 o'clock because at 3:05 the buses pull out. But today you've been doing something big. Let's say you're doing a Mother's Day project. And so your kids have been getting things together and you're running a little bit late, and you're wanting to make sure, and they've got to, and your teacher lenses says, I know I'm a little bit late, but they've got to get these. If they don't get them home today, then they're going to miss Mother's Day gifts. And so we've got to do it. So we're just going to have to be a little bit late. And you run your kids out to the bus and you get your kids at the bus at 3:02. And you say, great, the buses didn't pull out. We don't got to make any phone calls. Nobody missed a bus. We did okay, because you're looking at the situation through your teacher lenses. But you know what you didn't consider is how that situation affected other people, especially your bus drivers. Because if you had been looking through the lens of a bus driver, you would understand the reason that your school asks you to have your kids on the bus at 3 o'clock is because the bus drivers need 5 minutes to settle the kids down, to make sure they're sitting where they're supposed to sit, to go through and say, good afternoon, how are you doing this, to move Billy around, who's being a little bit rambunctious already. And then at 3:05, when they pull out of the school, their bus is ready for a route. But because you chose to throw your kids on the bus at 3:02, you've got now 15 bus drivers and their aides trying to scramble around, get kids settled, and they've got to pull out of the parking lot at 3:05 with a bus that's a little bit high strung and is not settled down. Because the only thing you were looking at was your perspective as a teacher. You didn't look at the perspective of the bus driver. My secretary really struggled with looking at it through the lens of anybody other than herself as a secretary. Amazing secretary. Our secretaries run the school. They put up with so much nastiness when parents call in upset, and then they get the principal and they're all nice. And our secretaries are great. My secretary is absolutely amazing. Best secretary I've ever had. But one of the struggles she had was she always was just looking through her own lens, because she knew exactly what she needed to do to get to the end of the day. And so at 8:15 in the morning, she's got her secretary lenses on and she's doing her job, and she knows exactly what she needs to do from 8:15 to 8:30, because she does it every single day. And all of a sudden she looks up and there's three sets of parents standing in front of her who all have children that are late to school that all need to be checked in. And in looking through her parent lenses, she says to herself, you know what? I knew exactly what I needed to get done for the next 10 minutes. And now I'm going to have to stop. I'm going to have to go into each one of your children's attendance records. I'm going to have to change their attendance from absent to tardy. I'm going to have to put the correct time in there. I'm going to have to email the teachers. And I'm going to have to go back this afternoon and email again, because the teachers don't check their emails during the day, and they've got to get this changed in their own system. And so your decision as parents has affected my day, because she was only looking at the situation through her lens as a secretary and how it affected her. And we can't only look through our lenses. And it was causing major issues with parents with her. So I finally brought her in and I said, you're an amazing secretary, best one I've ever worked with, but you're really struggling with one area. And I gave her a pair of glasses, and I had written on the side on the arm, parent lenses, parent lenses. And I said, you've got to start putting on the lens of the parents that you're working with, because that parent right there that you're mad about, well, they're going through a divorce. And this morning, mom had to stop at dad's house to get the daughter's cheerleading outfit. And there was a huge fight that ensued. And the daughter's been crying in the parking lot for 30 minutes. And that's why she's late. That parent right there, she's working 2 jobs. And she got in at 10 o'clock last night. And she had asked her 11th grader to help the 2nd grader with the book fair, with the book project. And when she got home at 10 o'clock at night, the book project was not done. So she had to spend an extra 30 minutes this morning making sure that the book project was done. And that's why she's late. And that parent right there, well, she lost her job last week and she lost electricity last night. They don't have an alarm clock because their electricity wasn't on. And when she started looking through the lens of the parents, she gained sympathy and empathy and understanding for those people. And administrators, I beg you, you will never be the administrator that you were called to be until you are able to put on the lens of the staff in your building. Every decision about what child is placed where, what teacher is placed on what grade level or what department, who you're going to choose for a coach, who it is you're going to hire, the decisions and conversations you're going to have with parents, every one of those decisions has to be viewed through the lens of your staff, because the decisions you're making are affecting everyone. And when we, as librarians, bus drivers, speech paths, school psychologists, teachers, administrators, only look through our lens, then we're only seeing how a situation is affecting us. And we don't realize that that decision is affecting a whole lot of other people. I challenge you. You will never be the teacher, school psych, counselor, secretary that you are called to be until you're able to look through the lens of the people that you're working with. So how simple is that? I simply am going to give you an object that I've gotten from the Dollar Tree or from somewhere simple, and I'm going to challenge you. I challenge you to get a pair of these. Again, I give every one of my teachers one of these at the beginning of the school year, and I say to them, please put these on your desk, because I want you to make sure that you understand that we got to look through other people's lenses. How simple is that? Now, this is something that's actually not from the Dollar Tree, but I wanted to show you the things first that I actually give my staff, and I give them glasses and I give them these. I saw this lesson in Florida. This is actually just a light switch. It could be at the Dollar Tree because it's only 88 cents. I got this at Lowe's, but I had the privilege of being able to watch a teacher all day long because she was up for Teacher of the Year. And so I was in her classroom all day long, just kind of observing, taking notes. And she used these in her classroom. I loved them. She had a big, huge one on the board that she had gotten from Amazon, and she would use it, and the students use it. She used this to help the students understand the importance of stopping one thing and moving on to another, of turning your brain off from what you're thinking about and moving to another. All the students had one. They had all decorated the face plates of them. They all had them in their desk. When they came in from recess that day, they had a big, huge kickball game, and there was a big argument on there, and they were all riled up. And she said, boys and girls, can you get your light switches out? I know you guys are very excited about recess and kind of still arguing about that call that was there, but we've got to get on to math. Can you turn your recess brains off? And she would turn it off up here, and they all physically turned off their recess brain. She'd say, okay, we got to get on to math. Let's turn on our math brains. And she used this to teach the kids that there are times when we have to stop what we're doing and completely change our thought process to another in order to be successful. That afternoon, she said, boys and girls, see this piece of paper up here that's been up there? You guys have been asking about it. There's 3 vocabulary words written behind that piece of paper, and they're science vocabulary words that we've never heard before. So we really need to know these 3 words. Can you get your light switches out? Can you turn your science brains on? And she turned her light switch off and said, okay, science brains on. And she used it all throughout the day. This is why kindergarten and preschool teachers go, clean up, everybody, everywhere. Because they want their kids to stop what they're thinking, stop center, stop that activity, and we got to move on to the next one. You see, as educators, we understand this. We understand the importance that if students are going to be successful, they have to completely shut off their brain from one idea and move to another. So you know who understands that? You do. You know who doesn't follow through with that? You. Educators all over the world are unable to do this in their own lives. And you have to be able to turn off your professional mind every day at the end of your day, or else you're no good to anyone. Because if you're unable to turn off your professional mind at the end of the day and on Friday as you leave for home, then when you get home and your kids are talking to you about their day and how important that was, you're thinking about the email that you've got to send. You're thinking about the lesson plan that you've got for tomorrow. You're wondering if you got enough glue sticks from the art room to do that project, because you've been unable to turn off your professional mind. Every one of my teachers gets one of these at the beginning of the school year on the first day that we come back in August. They have 5 days. They decorate the nameplates. We put these in the library and display them as an art project, like an art museum. The kids vote on their top 5, and the PTA gives out a prize. And then these teachers keep these on their desk. And I remind them all the time that at the end of the day, and when they stand up to go home, boom, turn your professional mind off. Because when you get home, you need to be ready for your family, for your kids, for your pet, and most importantly, you. And if you're not able to turn your professional mind off, then you're answering emails at 8 o'clock at night on a Tuesday, and you should not be doing that. We live in a profession that believes we should be on all the time, and that is incorrect. You have administrators that believe that's the way to be a good administrator, and that is not correct. If you are unable to turn off your professional mind and have time for yourself every single day, you are mentally and physically draining yourself. And I tell my teachers, turn this off. When you get up to leave the building at 3 o'clock, 3:15, 3:30, 4 o'clock, whenever you leave, turn this off and leave this building, and let your colleagues and let your parents know that when I leave the building at 4 o'clock, it's my time. If you have an emergency, I will always be there for you. Call me, email me. I may check my emails every once in a while, but I'm not going to email you back unless it's an emergency, because when I leave the building, it's time for me. And I'll message you tomorrow at 7 a.m. But from 4 p.m. every day until 7 is my time. And I turned off my professional brain. Fridays are huge on this. You've got to have your weekends. And unfortunately, we've got teachers that think to be a good teacher, you need to work all weekend long. You know what? You're going to leave the profession way too early. And I tell my teachers on Friday when I get on the announcements, boys and girls, great week this week. Don't forget to take your jackets home. It's supposed to rain. Teachers, would you please turn off your professional brains as you leave the building today so that you can have your weekend? Because I know that if they are not doing that, then they come in Monday physically exhausted because they've worked all weekend long on lesson plans and on grading and answering emails and doing all these things that they should not be doing on a weekend. Now, I know unless you are extremely, extremely organized, you have to find some time to be able to do things on the weekends. But here's my challenge, and this is the challenge that I give to my teachers. Find a time, the exact same time every weekend that you would turn your professional mind on, so that you can pattern yourself and train yourself to do it from this time to this time. And your family knows. And I tell my teachers, why don't we all just choose 1 o'clock until 3 o'clock or 1 o'clock until 4 o'clock on Sunday? That's when you would get your work done. So that when you pull in your driveway on Friday, boom, you turn off your professional mind and you watch a movie and you eat dinner and you have fun with your family. And Saturday you get up and your professional mind is still turned off, and you spend it with your family, and you go to a soccer game and you relax and you take a nap and you walk and you do some fun things. And on Sunday, when you get up, your professional brain is still off and you cook breakfast, you go to church, you do whatever. And at 1 o'clock on Sunday, your family knows that you're going to turn your professional mind on. And from 1 to 3 or 1 to 4, you answer emails, get your lesson plans ready, text your colleagues, do what you need to get ready for Monday, because we have to have that time. It's just natural. But I just beg you that at 4 o'clock it would be turned off and you would have the rest of your time. Because I am telling you, if you are a 24-hour educator, you are burning yourself out. You were not called to be a 24-hour educator, a 24-hour administrator. You are losing precious time with your family that you will never get back again. Do you know why? Because you're unable to turn off your professional mind, and it's Wednesday night at 8:30, and your kids are talking to you about something that's very important, or everybody's gathered around watching a TV show that everybody loves, and your mind is on an email, or you're texting your colleagues or your parents because you've been unable to turn your professional mind off. And let me tell you what, this summer, you've got to turn your professional mind off. You have to have time for yourself. I challenge you, get one of these, paint it, put it on your desk. And when you get up at the end of the day, click. If you don't want to get one of these, just remember that when you turn the light off in your office, in your gym, in the band room, in your classroom, in your school, that you are going home for you time. Because when you don't have you time, and when you've not turned off your professional brain, you are physically and mentally exhausted, and you are no good for anyone. I challenge you to start practicing that this summer, that you would have time just for you. And when the school year hits, or if you're summer school, turn off your professional mind every single day. Let your colleagues know, let your kids know, let your parents know, this is my time. If there's an emergency, by all means, message me. Otherwise, you will hear from me at 7:30 in the morning when I turn my professional brain back on. Grab yourself a light switch. This is one of the things I wanted to show you too, that goes along with that whole thing. This is a sloth. This is my sloth cup. I have a new series about coffee cups, and I just love this sloth cup. It's actually not from the Dollar Tree, but again, I have to use something as an object lesson in there. I love sloths because they understand the importance of slowing down in order to survive. Well, let me say that again. Sloths understand the importance of slowing down in order to survive. Sloths have a very slow metabolism, And so the food doesn't process as easily. And so they don't have as much energy, and they're eating leaves that don't have a lot of energy in them. And they know that if they expend a lot of energy throughout the day, they won't have the energy in their stomach to be able to keep up with that, and it will cause them to die. And so they move very, very slowly. So they're not expending their energy. They have poor eyesight. And so they're moving through the trees and they're seeing all the same colors, browns and greens in there. And if they try to move really, really quickly, they might miss a branch and they might cause some problems. And they understand that in order to survive, they got to slow down. Records and data shows us that the average a sloth in the wild will only move an average of 158 feet. Some of you have middle schoolers that are like that over the summer. Sloths understand the importance of slowing down in order to survive. Guess what, teachers? You got to be a sloth. You've got to understand the importance of slowing down in order to survive. Because if you're constant, this goes right along with the light switch, constant, you know what, you're not able to slow down. One of my favorite times of the year for me, I don't know what's in that cup, but I'm going to pour it out. One of my favorite things of the year for me is when I was able to go to Florida and house sit for friends of mine. They have a pool down there. I grew up in Florida, so I would go down and house sit for them. And the first 2 or 3 days, it just killed me because I had nothing to do. And I would, feel guilty. Well, guess what? That's you this summer. Do you know that nobody's going to come and check on whether you made the bed? Did you know that nobody's going to come and judge you about sleeping in an extra hour? Did you know that nobody's going to have a problem with you saying to your family, okay, tonight you're on your own, eat whatever you want to, but I'm not cooking dinner? That's what this is about. This summer should be about you. And even those of you doing summer school, you have to understand the importance of slowing down in order to survive. We have had a very, very stressful school year. If this is not you, you are going to go into the next school year stressed out. And so you need to spend time with your family. You need to say to your kids, I'm going to take the next 2 hours to go read this book or to go nap, and I don't want to hear from you, because I need to be able to slow down and understand the importance to survive and to get back to where I need to be and to be ready for the fall. I need to be able to slow down. You have to understand that sloths understand the importance of slowing down in order to survive. Educators do not. And if you're running around driving yourself crazy and you've signed up for 19 different online PDs and you've got all these fun things to do and you've got all your books home and you're going to do, you know what? This is what you need. You need to understand the importance of slowing down as an educator, no matter what your position is, in order to be able to survive. This is one of my favorite things from the Dollar Store. I love peanut butter and jelly. I hated it growing up. I came from a teacher home. My dad was a PE teacher. My mom didn't work. I have a brother and sister, so there were 5 of us growing up on this, because this was inexpensive. This is a mark of poverty to me, because I knew that the reason I didn't get ham and cheese was because it was a lot cheaper to get peanut butter and jelly. And so I ate it all the time. That's what we ate for lunch, 7 days a week, peanut butter and jelly sandwich, because it was cheap. I hated it growing up. Now I absolutely love it. My daughter gets me peanut butter and jelly of the month club. And in December, I get a certificate that says starting in January for 6 months, I'm going to get a unique jar of peanut butter and a unique jar of jelly. I love it so much. And I love it from the Dollar Tree because this is great portion control. I can throw this in my lunchbox, and I love these small ones because I get to try them. And if I don't like them, I throw them away. But I like to use this as an acronym for whenever I'm teaching, because if you allow P&J into your life, for peanut butter and jelly, if you allow P&J into your life as a professional, you won't grow. If you allow professional jealousy to come into your life, if you are overcome with professional jealousy, then you can't grow as a professional. And what is professional jealousy? Simply you being jealous of someone in your profession. And when you allow professional jealousy in, you can't grow. Let me give you my real world example. So we get we take our state assessment in May in Kentucky. We get the results back in August, which is one of the reasons why I disagree with state assessment. We give our assessment in May, and then those kids leave, and then we get their scores back. And what are we supposed to do then? And so we get our state assessment back in August. As administrators, we get the results back on a Tuesday. We have 1 day to analyze the data and figure out how we're going to present to our staff. And then on Wednesday, it's assessment announcement day. We announce all the assessment scores to our staff. The newspaper also gets the assessment scores. And on Wednesday, assessment announcement day, our newspaper publishes all of our state test scores, and they rank order us. So we have 36 elementary schools, 14 middle schools, and 10 high schools, and we're rank ordered. Number 1 elementary school, number 37 elementary school, number 14, number 1 middle school, number 14 middle school. And the first thing that I do on assessment announcement day, and the first thing that every parent does, and the first thing that every teacher does, is pull out the newspaper and they look at those rank orderings and they figure out where they fall. And they see where they are, and they start celebrating all the schools that we beat. Wow, look at there, we beat Piedmont. We've never beat them before. Oh my gosh, we beat Maxwell. They've got the gifted program, and we've never beaten them before. Oh my goodness, look there, we beat Rosa Parks Elementary School. They've got high-income parents. And we start celebrating all the schools that we beat. But then we stop and we start looking at the schools that outscored us, and this sets in. Because what we start doing is making excuses of the schools that outscored us. Well, yeah, they're always going to outscore us. They've got low class size initiative, so we can't compete with that. We're not ever going to outscore them. Oh, yeah, of course they beat us. They're in the high income area. They're not Title I like we are. And so we start making excuses about the people that have done something better than we are, and we can't grow. Because let me tell you how it should work. When I look at those scores and I see that Brenda Cowan Elementary School across the hall, across the city where my daughter works, when I see their science scores and I see that they've blown us out of the water, I need to be getting on the phone and calling my friend Josh, who's the principal over there, and saying, Josh, hey, I saw Brenda Cowan's science scores. Wow, they were amazing. Can you let me know what you did? Because we're really struggling at Liberty, and I would love some help with the science scores. But that doesn't happen. Do you know why? Because I'm jealous that he's outscored me. And rather than call him, I say things like, well, yeah, they've got a really good PTA and they raised like $50,000. And so they've got all this science equipment. Or I say, well, they've got a science lab. So their kids get double dipping. They get classroom and they get specials. And I start making excuses because I am jealous of someone in my profession that's doing something better than me. Let me tell you how it looks for you. You're a teacher or whatever position you're in, and you're in your staff meeting. And your principal says, hey, guys, Miss Smith, can you come up here? I'm going to give Miss Smith 5 minutes of staff meeting. I've noticed when I observe her that she's got this great communication system with parents and the kids. Everybody has a spiral notebook. The kids write in them daily. The parents respond. The teacher responds. So Miss Smith has developed this great communication system that I just love that she's using in the classroom. And I thought maybe it would be good for her to share because maybe some of you would want to use that. And so, Miss Smith, you have the floor. And so Miss Smith starts talking about this great system that she's worked out and is telling everybody that, and this sets in. And you say things like, the principal told me I had great communication skills with my parents. Why am I not speaking at staff meeting? Or you say things like, why is a third-year teacher talking at our staff meeting when we got 25-year veteran teachers here? Or you say things like, why is the teacher that just transferred into our school up in front of us speaking when we've got dedicated teachers that have been dedicated to this school for 7 years? And you start making excuses because you are jealous. And when you're jealous that the principal has called out a grade level because they did well in their math, called out a teacher because they're doing so well, has been asked to speak at a PD, data looks better than yours, test scores looks better than yours, the principal has said what a great job they did on scheduling, whatever the situation is, when you are jealous of that person, you don't reach out. Because what you should be doing is taking notes about what Miss Smith is saying, that the principal has observed is a good policy and is a good pedagogy to be able to use. But instead, you're making excuses about why it is that you're not paying attention because you already do that well, or Miss younger than you, or you could, whatever it is. When you allow professional jealousy into your life as a professional, you can't grow. And so don't make excuses for the people that are around you when they get called out for higher test scores or a great coaching staff or a school in the area is recognized as a school to watch or whatever the situation is. When you become jealous of those schools, of those teachers, of those other people, then you know what? You can't reach out to them and ask them for help. So be very careful when it comes to professional jealousy. I love these from the Dollar Tree. These are just M&Ms. I love to go to the Dollar Tree and get tasty treats. They have all sorts of cool things. They've got like those wax bottles with liquid in them that we used to have. They've got cow's tails. They have all these cool candies. And I think that It's very important. I think tasty treats are very important, and I love to go to the Dollar Tree. If you're my age, you know that if someone said, "Do you want M&Ms?" This is what they were asking you. They're asking you, "Do you want plain or do you want peanut?" Because this is all we had. Well, now at the Dollar Tree, they've got white chocolate, and they've got hazelnut, and they've got pretzel, and they've got caramel, and they've got coffee, and they've got peanut butter. At my Dollar Tree right now, there are 11 different flavors of M&Ms, and I love that because I love to be able to go get tasty treats for my staff. These right here would be for my librarian, Melinda Craig. She's the one that told me about white chocolate M&Ms. I was in the library, and I kind of out loud said to myself, "Oh gosh, I forgot I got to go to Target today." And she said, "Oh, you're going to Target?" She said, "Would you check for white chocolate M&Ms?" She said, "They're always out at my Target. They only have these out at certain times of the year." And so I grab 4 or 5 bags whenever I see them because I know she loves them, and I want to have them on my desk whenever she's having a good day or whenever maybe she's struggling. These hazelnut ones, my 4th grade teacher, Miss Gonzalez, loves Nutella. I get her Nutella for Christmas in one of those big, huge jars. And so I know that she loves the hazelnut M&Ms. So whenever I see these are sometimes kind of hard to find. I always grab 5 packs of these. Nobody in my office gets the peanut ones or the peanut butter ones because they're falling, because my secretary is allergic. So if you're in the office hallway, the secretary, bookkeeper, attendance clerk, assistant, counselor, and me, nobody gets the peanut butter or the peanut M&Ms because the secretary is allergic. So here's the question I have for you. If I was to give you 10 packages of M&Ms and say, give these out to your grade level, the bus drivers you work with, the food service workers, the front office, the specials team, your special ed department, whatever group you work with, if I was to give you 10 different flavors of M&Ms, would you know who to give them to? You see somebody in your group says, "That's not even chocolate." They think white chocolate is not chocolate. Some people in your group have allergies. But here's my question. Do you know your colleagues? The number one thing for staff retention and job placement happiness is relationships in a workplace. The number one thing for you being happy in your job and for you retaining staff is relationships. If you've got a school where you've got high turnover, you've got administrative problems, and you've got relationship problems. Staff retention is not just about the principal, it's about you. Because if you're happy with your special ed team, if you love the 3rd grade team, if you're so enjoying the English department, staff retention has to do with you and the relationships that you have with those people so that you can build relationships. Because when someone has positive relationships, you know what they will? They'll drive an extra 30 minutes to go to a school with positive relationships. People will stay at a school that have struggling students if there's positive relationships. Do you know your colleagues? Let me give you 2 suggestions for getting to know your colleagues that I would love for you to do, especially this summer. The first is text messaging. I would challenge you today, say to your Siri, set an alarm on Wednesday to text 5 colleagues. And that once a week this summer, you would text 5 colleagues. Text 2 friends. These are people that you've worked with for a while that you know really well. You've been to Applebee's with them. You know what's going on with your kids. Check on them. What's going on? Hey, what's going on? I'm reading a good book. Yeah, went to Applebee's last night. Hey, I saw Billy's mom out. Because what you're saying to these friends is, even though we're not together, I still want to be a part of your life. Text 2 acquaintances. These are people that maybe you eat lunch with, but not at the same table. Maybe you've been across the hallway with them. You've been at the same school for 6 or 7 years, but you don't really run in the same circles. Text these 2 acquaintances. Hey, what's going on? Hadn't seen you in a while. You having a good summer? Here's a book I'm reading. Did you see that special last night on teachers? And then text 1 person that you have to get the phone number for. You don't have this person's phone number. You had to ask a colleague. You had to ask the secretary, ask the principal. When you text these 2 friends, you're saying to these 2 friends, let's stay together. Our relationship is important. Let's have conversations over the summer, maybe go to lunch somewhere. When you text these 2 acquaintances, you're pushing them into this group and you're building up a support system because you're saying to someone, we're not going to be around and I'm not seeing you for a while, but I would love to know what's going on and I can't wait to see you again in August. When you text this 1 person, you may be the only person that texts that person from your building all summer long because this person doesn't have the outgoing personality or they don't have a lot of friends in there, or maybe they're the grumpy teacher. and you're the only person that texts that person, I challenge you to set an alarm on your Siri, and every week you would text 5 different people. You know how much time it's going to take you? 5 minutes, and maybe another 10 or 15 to answer the responses that they give, but it's not really hard. Let me tell you another idea for getting to know people that I would love for you to do. We do this at my school every time we gather together. Anytime there's 2 or more people, we spend the first minute of that time answering a question. Every staff meeting, every grade level meeting, every parent meeting, PTA meeting, and IEP meeting, every specials team meeting, whenever we have a meeting, the first minute is spent answering a question and giving the answer to that question. So when we gather together for a staff meeting, I say, okay, we're getting ready to start, guys. You got 1 minute. Share with everybody what your favorite movie is. And you spend 1 minute at your table talking about your favorite movie. And when you have an IEP meeting, and we do this during IEP meetings, we say, parents, this is one of the things that we do to get to know each other. We always spend the first minute of the meeting, answer a question. So let's all go around and say what your dream vacation is. And we go around at the PTA meeting and we share at the table of 8 people what our dream vacation is. And every time we meet together, someone throws out a question and we all answer that. And here's what happens. You've now gone to 37 staff meetings, 52 team meetings, 5 IEP meetings, 12 parent meetings, and you now know 400 things about colleagues that you would not know because you decided to spend 1 minute before the meeting started or as the meeting started answering questions. Let me tell you how it works. So about a month ago, I messaged a teacher that I have not seen in 9 years, because 10 years ago, when we were in staff meeting and I was sitting at his table, I said, okay, guys, you got 1 minute. Everybody share what your hobbies are. He said, I like to raise orchids. I'd never known that about him. Fast forward 10 years later, I've not seen him in 9 years. I'm watching the news tonight at 11 o'clock. See how these orchids have made it to be so beautiful. And I text my friend that I've not seen in 9 years, turn on the TV at 11 o'clock. There's going to be a special on orchids. Do you know why? Because I spent 1 minute of a staff meeting sharing what my colleagues' hobbies are. And now I know something. You know what it is? It's an open door. Because now you know who really wants to go to New York. Now you know whose kids are going to Notre Dame. Now you know whose favorite movies are Disney movies. Now you know whose favorite author is Amy Tan. And you know all these people, all these things that seem piddly, but they're called open doors for you to have conversations and relate to the people that you're with. If you want to like your job, if you want to have positive climate and culture at your building, if you want positive personal climate culture, understand the importance of getting to know your colleagues. Text 5 colleagues every single one, whatever day this week, Wednesday, every Thursday, every Friday, whatever day it is, text 5 colleagues. And spend time on your grade level meetings, in your staff meetings, in your parent meetings, spending 1 minute getting to know your colleagues. This is one of my favorite things too. This is also not a Dollar Tree thing, but I just love this. This is just a Magic 8 Ball. I love Magic 8 Balls because it's got all the answers. If you didn't know what this is, this was invented probably in the 60s, but it was real popular when I was in school. We weren't allowed to bring these to school. They were banned because they were considered sorcery and witchery because it had all the answers. And all you have to do is ask the Magic 8 Ball something, and it gives you the right answer. We would sneak these in at recess because we weren't allowed to have them, and everybody would gather around in a circle, and I would shake the Magic 8 Ball and say, oh, Magic 8 Ball, please tell me if, and I would look at all my friends, and they would be all nervous. And I would say, tell us, Magic 8 Ball, does Billy love Susie? And Billy would go, no, and Susie would cry, and everybody would laugh, and I would say, tell us, Magic 8 Ball, and I flipped the answer up, and it would come up right here. The answer seems to be yes. And everybody would laugh and roll on the ground. And I would ask the next one because the Magic 8 Ball had all the answers. This is the biggest stress I have with my central office. So if your central office, listen carefully. I'd like to remind you of something. There's no Magic 8 Ball in education. There's not a Magic 8 Ball in education that has the answer for everything. And unfortunately, in my district, and I know in many districts, the central office thinks there's a Magic 8 Ball. And they'll say one year, okay, guys, we've just spent $500,000 on Imagine Learning. It is the Magic 8 Ball for what's going to happen in reading. And the next year they say, okay, guys, we got you new curriculum. Here's Saxon Math. It's the Magic 8 Ball. Everybody's math scores are going to be great. And then the next year they say, we're all going to be champ school. We're going to cure everybody's classroom management issues and school discipline. Here, you're going to be a champ school. Here's the Magic 8 Ball. There ain't no Magic 8 Ball in education. There is not any one thing that's going to be perfect for every school. And I am absolutely floored that our district sees the importance of differentiation, because it's very important to give kids what they need. But when it comes to 27 different elementary schools, they think here's the magic 8 ball. And they make no accommodation for my school being completely different. There is no magic 8 ball. And let me tell you how it looks in school. Teachers, if you think there's a magic 8 ball, there's not, but you do. You go into the school year saying, okay, guys, I researched this summer and I've got the magic 8 ball so that all 8th grade or all 5th grade, we've got perfect classroom behavior and management system. And we're all going to do this. And I've got posters printed up, and here's a reward system, and here's a communication system with parent. I've got it all set up, and I've got great, it's going to fix our classroom management problems. And you think you have a magic 8 ball for your colleagues, but I want you to understand that when you force a magic 8 ball on a school, on a grade level, on a teacher, you're taking away their autonomy. Because there is great pedagogy, there are great curriculum, there are great ideas, there's great teacher pay teacher, there's great Pinterest stuff. But what works well for my school may not work well for Brenda Cowan Elementary School. There's not a magic 8 ball. And central office, when you force a magic 8 ball on a school, on a principal, you're taking away their autonomy. Teachers, when you force a magic 8 ball on the people that you're working with, and you say, this is what's going to work for this unit, this is what's going to work for classroom management, you're taking away your colleagues' autonomy, because guess what? There is no magic 8 ball in education. This is one of my favorite things to share. It's a twofer. I give all my teachers a Butterfinger, because I like to use the acronym for BF, because you need 2 BF systems in your life. You've got to have 2 BF systems in your life in order to be successful. The first BF system is bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia means get out of my life. I don't need you anymore. Now, if you're a Felicia or you know Felicia, I have a cousin, Felicia, gets mad when I talk about this, but it's not my fault. It's pop culture. The bye, Felicia saying comes from the movie, the 1980s movie Fridays. In the movie, 2 guys are sitting on their porch and they're having a conversation. And the neighbor comes over and she starts getting real negative. And one of the guys looks up and says, bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia. It's not even her name. What he's saying to her is, you're bringing negativity into my life and I don't have any time for that. I ain't even going to get to know your real name. Bye, Felicia. See, we've got to bye, Felicia, people out of our lives. People that bring you down, that drag you down, bye. We've got enough negativity in our life that we don't need to accept anyone else coming in with negativity. And unfortunately, some of you guys don't know how to bye, Felicia, people out of your life. You've got to get rid of that person. You've got to stop eating lunch with them because all they do is badmouth the principal. You've got to stop standing with them at recess because all they do is badmouth their kids or their school or how much they hate this. You've got to get away from them and avoid them. Bye, Felicia. Social media, you know who I'm talking about. That person that you know, when you go through their account, you know there's going to be something negative and they're going to be badmouthing something. You know exactly who that is. And here's what happens. You're scrolling through Facebook or Instagram and you say, oh, there she is. What's she saying today? And you're kind of laughing to yourself because, of course, she said something negative about politics or about church or about how much she hates this or that or whatever. And then you all of a sudden say, I wonder what everybody else is saying there. And you start looking at the comments. And then you start getting angry. And then you make a comment and all of a sudden you're drawn into a negative. Bye, Felicia. Those people that are negative on your social media, let me tell you what you do. There's 3 little dots on everybody's account. When you click those 3 little dots, a drop down comes down and you can hide or mute them. And when you hide them or mute them, you don't see their feed. And you don't unfriend them, but you don't see, they can still contact you, but you don't see their feed anymore. You know why? Bye, Felicia, because you don't need that negativity. That person that calls you all the time, and here's the thing, it could be a sister, it could be an aunt, could be an uncle, could be a best friend from college, and all they do is talk negative. And you get off the phone feeling like you need to go shower because they've been so negative. Bye, Felicia. And I know you can't get rid of an aunt that's negative or a best friend from college or sometimes even a parent. But here's what you can do. Give them as little time as possible. If you look at that phone and dread answering it because you know they're going to be completely negative, then this is how you answer the phone. Hey, Aunt Susie, I've got 5 minutes. I wish I had more time, but what's going on? Thanks for calling. And you give Aunt Susie 5 minutes, not 35 to complain about your mom and your other aunts and everything else going on in their life, because that brings you down. You have to buy, Felicia, people out of your life that are negative. We don't need any more negativity in our life. The other BF is a professional BF. You have to have a professional BF. A professional BF is your professional best friend. Now, your professional best friend is different than your real best friend. Your real best friend, you go to Applebee's with, you hang out with, you know all about their kids. That's your best friend. Your professional best friend is your sounding board. It's the one person in your building that you can go to and talk to about anything. You can complain about the principal. You can argue about that parent. You can complain about your grade level or your department. And that professional best friend understands because they're going through the same thing, and they keep that to themselves, and they give you ideas. Here's what they give you: sympathy, empathy, and understanding. That's what we need, because when we're frustrated with something, we need sympathy and empathy and understanding. A lot of times we don't even need a solution. We just need to tell it. And you need a professional best friend, because when you go to that professional best friend's door and you step into their room and you close the door and you say, I just want to let you know that I am so tired of my department. Every time we get together for team planning, all we do is spend the first 20 minutes gossiping, and the next 20 minutes is throwing out ideas. They never listen to me. It's never a good idea. It is a complete waste of time. I am so tired of team planning. Do you know what your professional best friend is going to give you? Sympathy, empathy, and understanding. And they're going to say, oh gosh, that's so frustrating. Ooh, I hate mine too. Gosh, have you tried this? Or they're just going to shake their head and go, oh my gosh, that must be stressful. And when you text your professional best friend and say, I'm so upset with administration, I don't feel supported at all. Every time I have a parent issue, they side with the parent. I am so tired of the situation. You know what your professional best friend gives you? Sympathy, empathy, and understanding. You've got to have a sounding board that understands what you're going through. But let me tell you the most important thing about this professional best friend. When you take that situation with the principal to this group, when you go to recess and start talking to the 5 people you're standing around about how mad you are at your grade level with this group, when you go out and you text that 5 people that you usually send funny memes to, and you start complaining about a decision the principal's made or about a parent to this group, you're really just gossiping. You see, this person gave you the sympathy, the empathy, the understanding that you needed about that parent that was stressful, or the decision you disagreed with, or your grade level that you're frustrated with. They gave what you needed. This group, you're just gossiping, and you're trying to find a group of people that'll agree with you and be angry with you on those people. You got to have a professional best friend. But please understand that when you take those situations to this group and that larger group of people, well, really what you're doing is you're just gossiping. Make sure that you're not doing that. You got to find a professional best friend, and you got to buy Felicia people out directly out of your lives. This is one of my favorite things to be able to share too. This is a dartboard, because in education, we all thought that everybody was going to love us. Think about the time and the energy and the support that you're giving to raise other people's kids, because that's what we're doing. We're raising other people's kids. We are spending more waking hour times with our students than their parents are. We're raising other people's kids. So everybody loves us in education, correct? Nope. This is us. I realized this a long time ago. I'm not ever going to make everybody happy, and I'm not ever going to have everybody happy with me. And guess what? If this is your goal, to make everybody happy, to have everybody be excited about what you're doing, and to know that everybody's going to like you, it's not ever going to happen. I learned in social media, if my goal was to make everybody happy, I would have stopped after the first video, because every video I put up has someone that doesn't like it. If my goal as a teacher was to have every parent and every student happy, I would have stopped after the first year, because it's never going to happen. If my goal as an administrator was to make every teacher happy, I would have stopped after 15 minutes of being a principal, because you're never going to make every teacher happy. You can't. It's just impossible. One of my favorite things about my life right now is being in a place that people are not expecting me to be at, and being recognized, like in the airport. I love to go to the airport. Teachers are always there. They walk by me and they kind of give me that look, and then they say, hey, are you? And I said, yeah, and we take pictures. I was checking into a hotel in Washington, D.C. a couple of years ago, and I noticed that the woman who had checked in front of me was kind of lingering, and she had given me that look like, oh, do I know you? And she was lingering as I was checking in. So when I was done, I thought, I wonder if she's waiting to talk to me. So I kind of turned her way, and she said, hey, I recognize you from social media. She said, I'm a elementary school principal in Texas. She said, I don't think you're very funny. She waited 5 minutes to say this. My credit card had gotten declined, and I had to give like 3. She'd waited this really long time. And she said, I don't think you're very funny. She said, my staff wants me to share it all the time. I just don't get it. And I don't get the humor. I just don't think it's very funny. And I thought, well, what do you say to that? So I just went boop, boop on her nose and walked away. You know why? Because I realized a long time ago, I'm not ever going to make everybody happy. That's not my goal. My goal on social media is to support educators, not to make everybody happy. My goal as a principal is to support students, not to make everybody happy. And let me tell you what, your goal is not to make everybody happy. Your goal is to have everybody respect you. Your goal is not to have everybody like you, not have everybody be happy with you. Your goal is to have everybody respect you. And let me tell you how easy that is. In education, people will respect you when you make every decision that you make for students. When you're a bus driver and you make decisions about where your students sit based on what's best for the students, people will respect you. When you're a classroom teacher and you make the decisions that you're making, or you're a coach and you make the decisions in the way you coach, or you're a counselor, the way you're counseling, you make all those decisions based on students, people will respect you. You start losing respect when you start making decisions for adults. When you place that kid on the bus based on what his parent wants, when you make a decision about how you're coaching based on that parent that's going to scream or yell, or the parent that brought you Starbucks. When we make decisions based on adults, we run into problems. But when we make every decision that we make for students, people will respect us even when they don't like us. So my goal today was two frames. First was for you. So what did you hear for you? No matter what your position is, as a bus driver, as the librarian, as the OT, as the speech path, as the superintendent, what did you hear for you? Do you need to put on other people's lenses because you constantly only look at the way things affect your cafeteria or your counseling office or your school or your classroom, and you need to start looking at it through the lens of other people? Do you need to learn to turn off your professional mind because you're drained all the time, because you're working up until 8 and 9 o'clock at night and grading papers and doing lesson plans, and you really need this summer to make sure that you're turning your professional mind off? What did you hear for you? And what did you hear for your groups? What did you hear for the team that you work with, for the librarians in your district, for the bus drivers, for all the speech path, for the special ed team, for your department? Do you need to be able to get to know each other a little bit better? And maybe you've been working together for a long time and you need to talk about that. And, you know, we really need to be a support system. Do you need to talk about professional jealousy? How we're kind of always bad mouthing another grade level because the principal seems to call them out a lot or this or that. And we really need to work on professional jealousy. And if someone's doing something good, we need to reach out to them. What did you hear for your group? My first goal was for you to walk away from here with one or two things that are going to help you as you come into the school year and as you relax this summer to think about it. And my second goal was for that group. I hope I've met my goals. So thrilled to be able to be with you guys right now here as we go into summer. Praying for those of you that are going to summer school. Please make sure that you sloth it out this summer, that you spend some time understanding that in order to survive, you got to slow down. And I just pray that you guys will have a fantastic summer, relax when ready for the school year. I greatly appreciate David reaching out to me. Greatly appreciate coming back out there to you guys. I hope maybe next year I can come back in person as we're a lot different. But thank you guys so much for this opportunity. If you ever need me, David has got my email address. You can also message me on Instagram. That usually is the one that I'm able to check. I hope you have a fantastic summer, and I hope that you're able to think about the things that I've talked about today, and it will help you get through the coming school year. So thank you guys so very much. Hope you guys have a great school year.
Thank you very much, Gerry. We so appreciate you taking time to spend with us and giving us ending us on a positive note. And to all of you that are on here, thank you so much again from TAAP Steering, from your TAAP Leadership Academy, for all your hard work and dedication. Please stay tuned for more information for our leadership conference that will be coming back August 12th and 13th. And we highly encourage you guys to be part of that. We have some good sessions and presenters coming out to kick off a brand new year next fall. Again, Emilio, if you want to say any final comments, you can turn your mic on in your camera.
Thank you guys so much. Hope y'all have a great summer.
Great, thank you. No, I just want to say sloth it. I love it. Let's sloth it this weekend, at least for sure. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend and a wonderful summer.